In 2024, I think it's safe to say that majority of us can collectively agree that NFL Madden is one of the most boring games on the market. EA Sports today is the antithesis of bare minimum. And just in case you don't know what bare minimum means, just go on Twitch and look at any Twitch thought streamer in the just chatting section. You will see exactly what bare minimum is. And you know what? That right there is a perfect analogy for this company. EA Sports is the gaming equivalent of a Twitch thought streamer. There's nothing innovative or creative happening. It's just there, doing absolutely nothing and demanding all your money year after year. And as long as the NFL keeps renewing their exclusivity deal, we are doomed to stay trapped on this hamster wheel of a low effort, overpriced game and continue getting our yearly installments of Angry Joe Madden reviews. And as an intelligent consumer like yourself, I'm sure you're probably wondering, why would the NFL keep renewing a deal with a company that could care less about putting out a quality product? Well, my fellow consumer, the NFL and EA share a common interest, and it is that bottom line. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And Madden Ultimate Team makes a lot of sense to the NFL. Checking the numbers, EA grossed $1.6 billion in MUT alone back in 2021, and I do believe it's roughly around $7 billion at this point. So as long as Madden is profitable, the NFL quite frankly could care less. So in short, one corporate plus one corporate equals we are screwed. But it wasn't always like this. There was a time when we did have options, and EA wasn't the only game in stores. Like we covered in our last video essay about 99 Sports, which you guys should definitely go watch if you haven't. Madden was dethroned twice during that time period, which inspired EA to offer the NFL a deal they couldn't refuse for an exclusive rights deal. And seeing that roughly around 2004, I was in the 4th grade, so I had no idea the most diabolical deal was being made while I was focused on Pokemon and trying to get a 3-headed blue eyes white dragon in my Yu-Gi-Oh deck. So with that being said, let's take a walk back in time. I want to investigate on just exactly how the NFL came to the conclusion that one company should represent their brand and how EA was the one chosen. But before we do that, you guys know what to do. Please hit that like button for your boy and slap that subscribe button if you're new. Welcome to the channel. Hope you stick around. I promise it's a good time, I swear. Now, let's go ahead and get into this.
Oh my God, baby. Oh my gosh, baby, the way she makes me.
Now let's take a step back in time. Going into the 2000s, the sports gaming landscape was at its peak in competition. Sony with NFL Game Day doing the impossible, creating a 3D sports gaming market exiting the 90s. As the world was partying like it was 1999, EA wasn't having that much fun going into the new century. The once #1 leader in NFL simulation was firmly in second place for 3 years running from 1997 to 2000, losing to 99 Sports 3D gaming experience. And not only that, Sega launched their new Dreamcast around this time in 1999 and introduced a third runner in the NFL simulation market with NFL 2K sporting Randy Moss on the cover. NFL 2K was received with universal critical acclaim, receiving an impressive, almost universal 10 out of 10 score across all gaming journalists. Gaming critic Chris Sharla from Next Gen at the time called NFL 2K a visual masterpiece. With the graphics that runs circles around Madden and NFL Game Day, the possibility of being stuck second behind was bad enough, but being pushed to third place, EA had nothing to celebrate going into this new generation of gaming. Quite frankly, they needed to figure their shit out, and fast. It took till the launch of the PlayStation 2 and Madden 2001 for EA to reclaim the crown in NFL football games. Madden 2001 racking up every award nomination possible for a game. This was the foundation for what it seemed like would be an unstoppable run for EA. The NFL Game Day series soon after became stale with not enough improvements to make a real case against Madden anymore. As the game shows the lack of effort into the series, it is telling of a possible shift in focus for Sony. Because if you ask me, alright, I think that they just stopped caring, so EA got their much wanted revenge and effectively ended their beef with Sony. But they still had major problems. NFL 2K wasn't going anywhere anytime soon, and even though Madden 2001 was a major resurgence for EA, NFL 2K1 outsold Madden 2001 PS2 version and launched by 13,000 copies in the first week, and then continued to outsell them by 49,000 copies in the second week. So if you do a little math, okay, NFL 2K1 was 62,000 copies more desired out the gate compared to Madden on the PS2. And I can only imagine how much more that gap increases as time went on that year. But there is a silver lining in the situation. Madden still wasn't the definitive #1 NFL title, but a little bit of serendipity comes from the fact that the monster NFL 2K series was shackled as an exclusive to a less powerful and less popular console with the Sega Dreamcast. Hey, and hold on, don't take that less popular comment to heart. First grade me had a Sega Dreamcast back then, and it still has a place in my heart till this day. But speaking objectively for the sake of this video, the PlayStation 2 was absolutely more popular than the Dreamcast. Not saying that anybody would argue that, but I just know that, hey, we all have our favorites, right? So with that being said, EA had the safety net of being available on more platforms except for the Dreamcast. That was until NFL 2K2 was the first in the series to be available for multiple platforms with the arrival of Microsoft's Xbox, which put EA back in a place they didn't want to be in, going head to head with a new development studio with fresh ideas on how to make an NFL game. And much like EA transitioning to Sony software, 2K needed time to find their footing. NFL 2K2 was mainly a port over from the Dreamcast. It was met with a solid reception with its debut on PS2 and Xbox. NFL 2K3, however, took the series up to par, winning Best Traditional Sports Game on Xbox, runner-up for Best Online Game on Xbox and PlayStation 2, and was runner-up for Xbox Game of the Year. And fun fact, it was the only NFL game that was developed for the GameCube. NFL 2K3 was a new foundation for Sega's new direction with the franchise. Not only it was the first true game developed for the PS2 and Xbox in mind, they also introduced their new partnership with ESPN. The game literally starts up with SportsCenter, alright? But for 2K4, Sega decided to go all out with their ESPN licensing and rebranded the series ESPN Football 2K4, which was the first case of 2K showing just how objectively close their football game was to Madden. With an overhaul to the gameplay, player movement faster and more fluid, graphics taking leaps in attention to detail of capturing a real NFL broadcast on ESPN, NFL 2K4 established a feel of authenticity that Madden was lacking. A lot of people forget about 2K4 and only talk about 2K5, but truthfully, if we're gonna be honest, the games are honestly the same. Everything you love about 2K5 was in 2K4, but of course, there are more additions with 2005 being the newer entry, but the core came from its predecessor. But the big difference between the two games truly came when ESPN and Sega sat down and made a very pivotal decision to price 2K5 at $19.95 as a checkmate move against EA that priced Madden 2005 at $53, which after taxes is pretty much $60, with a price difference the size of the Grand Canyon. Sports gamers couldn't ignore the fact that their access to the NFL experience was more obtainable for $20. And it didn't hurt that the game was actually just as or even more enjoyable than Madden. NFL 2K5 sold a little over 2 million copies, with Madden ended up with 3 million, but only because of their late purchases from the forced price reduction and bundling they had to do. Now, I do want to take this time to go ahead and acknowledge that this is the golden era of Madden we're talking about. It's been a lot of 2K praised in this section of the video, but Madden was putting out their absolute best. Between 2001 and 2005 is some of the best entries in Madden's history, but it's safe to say that the playing field had evened out quite a bit in the court of public opinion. If we're honest and objective, Madden's true advantage they had on NFL 2K when it came to buyer's choice was simply they just been around longer. NFL Madden around 2004 was 17 years old. If we know anything about human behavior, we like routines, we like things that are familiar, and we like loyalty. The name NFL Madden had 17 years of trust built with gamers. 2K was the new kid that popped up in the new century. But keep in mind, 2K did this much damage and only was on their 5th installment of the series. I do repeat, it only took them 5 years to catch up with EA. With 2K4 and 2K5, Sega found their formula to make the best football game possible and came up with the most genius idea to undercut the market price. I have no doubt in my mind they would have released NFL 2K6 at $19.95. Also, Sega was definitely going to force EA to continue to do the last thing that they wanted to do, or any other major corporation would want to do, and that is lowering their prices for a product. And we gotta understand something here. I'm putting my script down. I'm getting off script. We gotta understand something here. ESPN and Sega collectively agreed that, yo, fuck business. We want to destroy EA so bad and get that #1 spot that we are going to release a game where at this point in time, I'm pretty sure that video games are starting to trend upward more, of obviously because of the technology that is going into to make these games and everything like that. The investment is very high to make video games at this point. So I'm pretty sure that prices for video games were inflating a little bit, or seeing some inflation in the market on average game price, because the investment has become a lot more expensive to make 3D video games to what they were for the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox and all that, right? Sound design and whatnot. But just think about the pure insanity and just thirst to want to be #1 and beat somebody out, that you just said, fuck the inflation, fuck the market price. Yo, we are cutting this down to $20. And it's crazy because EA really thought that when they heard that NFL 2K5 was going to be $20 and they were releasing the game before Madden was going to release 2005, like they thought these were all indications that this game was going to be, it was going to be mid, it was going to be a low quality game. But when people got their hands on that game and word of mouth started spreading that, yo, no, this game is actually fire and probably better than Madden, and it's $20 versus Madden pricing their game at $50, almost $60. Yo, they were literally going to force Madden to lose money potentially, because yo, we are about to make this game so affordable and put it at such a max quality. They were going to force EA to mark down their prices for their games every year before they got the inevitable exclusivity deal. But this was a tangent. Let's get back to the script. Now, as huge of a victory that this was for Sega and ESPN, there was a dark and ugly cloud looming over the year of 2004. There were rumors going around that EA had a deal on the table with the NFL and the NFL Players Association for an exclusive rights deal. I mean, it was actually literally confirmed that it was a thing that was happening by the Sports Business Journal. They published a story noting that EA had a $1 billion deal on the table, and the NFLPA denied the claims and demanded a retraction of the story actually. So gamers and Sega sighed with relief, but it was all a lie. The deal was actually real. We are here on NewYorkTimes.com, and I have actually located an article that was published literally a day after, by the New York Times, a day after the official announcement was made that EA had secured their exclusivity deal, which was on December 13th, 2004. But we're going to go ahead and read this article, man. So the video game maker Electronic Arts announced an exclusive 5-year deal with the National Football League and its players yesterday to design games using the NFL brand, stadiums, player names, and uniforms. The deal could be a boon. A boon? What is? I don't know what a boon mean, but well, whatever. The deal could be a boon for Electronic Arts industry analysts said, particularly given what has turned out to be surprisingly intense competition in the sports video game market in recent months. Since September, Electronic Arts had been forced to cut prices nearly in half to $29.95 to compete with a new line of low-cost sports games introduced by its two chief rivals, Sega and Take-Two Interactive. Working together, Sega and Take-Two last July began publishing a line of ESPN title sports games priced at $19.95. The companies have sold more than 2 million copies of the football game ESPN NFL 2K5. Previously, the NFL and its players licensing subsidiary Players Incorporated offered non-exclusive license to build video games around the brands. Both the Electronic Arts and Take-Two Sega games currently include NFL licensed content. The NFL and the Players Licensing Group declined to say how much Electronic Arts was paying for the exclusive 5-year deal, but an industry executive said the contract was more than $300 million. I mean, this is the NFL we're talking about. I know for a fact that deal, like, we know that this deal had to be upwards to at least a little, it had to be over at least $500 million or at least close to $1 billion. If it wasn't close to $1 billion, I know it had to fall somewhere between that 600, 700, because there's no way that the NFL would decide to do something like this off of like something small, as in something under $500 million. A spokesman for Take-Two said the decision by the NFL and its players to restrict its license to an exclusive deal would be bad for consumers. Boy, he was telling the truth. The spokesman, Ed Nebb, said that the decision would mean that there would only be a single game on the market with NFL players and other league-owned content. You'll see prices go up. Wasn't lying. Instead of it being a case of let the best game win, he said it will mean Electronic Arts has the only game in town. Mr. Nebb said he did not know whether Take-Two and Sega would publish a new version of the ESPN title football game next year without the NFL players and the brand. He did say that Take-Two would continue to make games for other sports, including basketball, hockey, and college sports. Executives from the NFL and its players' licensing subsidiary said the decision to grant an exclusive license to Electronic Arts was based on a theory that the NFL brand name would be better served by associating with a single game maker. Wait, so you telling me that all this shit happened because the NFL had a theory? A theory that the NFL brand name would be better served by just one company. I guess the executive said the decision to grant a single license came before July, when Take-Two began distributing the ESPN title games made by Sega. The NFL asked for bids from various video game companies before awarding the exclusive deal, said Jeff Brown, a spokesman for Electronic Arts. Cameron Wassillo, a video game industry analyst with Merrill Lynch, said that Electronic Arts had been stung by the ESPN title games. She said that the exclusive contract might give Electronic Arts a newfound advantage. Might? That's crazy. Might is crazy. No, it did. But that Take-Two and Sega could continue to keep pressure on with other sports titles. Well, yeah, how time has unveiled. Yes, NBA Live burnt out. 2K surpassed NBA Live and took over the basketball market, and EA hasn't like recovered ever since, right? There was a lot of context on the battle that happened with the NBA games, because ultimately 2K, I guess in a sense we could say 2K got their get back. Like, they got their revenge when NBA Live just completely stopped being good. Just quite frankly, just stopped being good, and then they just took over, and then they acquired the exclusive likeness to the greatest basketball player arguably of all time in Michael Jordan, and putting him in NBA 2K11, which just killed Live for the rest of eternity, right? So wow, the beef is real. The beef was real, bro. Wow. Unfortunately, there is no real definitive like way to really find out how exactly this unfolded, other than the information that is available to us, right? Because I don't know if EA approached the NFL first, or the NFL was approaching game companies and they came to this decision on their own, because like the article said, the NFL made the decision, the final decision, because of a theory, right? They felt that they wanted a change and felt like, okay, one company should probably represent our brand, and that's just better for business. But EA simply was scared enough to probably, what it sounds like to me, is bet their entire company, because that, like I said, that deal had to be close. It had to be a couple $100 million away from $1 billion deal, which at the time, I don't know how much like EA was worth around that time, but I'm pretty sure that that was like a good majority of like their money that they were putting on the table so they can go for the exclusive rights. This was basically their Hail Mary, because they got tired, and they were tired. They got scared twice. All right, they got scared twice by Sony, and they got scared twice by Take-Two, and they just was not having it anymore. So to the point where, yo, fuck it, we are stealing the NFL away from everybody. That's crazy, man. But anyway, though, man, appreciate you if you have made it to the end of this video. I like doing these video essays, even though they take so much time to do, but appreciate you guys made it to the end. Again, you guys go into the comment section, let me know your thoughts on this, and yeah, man, I'm gonna catch you guys on the next video. I'm out.